today on the Frontline Health podcast.
That's a big piece of it, and not putting a God complex on your supplements. Understanding that one pill is not going to take care of your health ills. You've got to really work at overall health, and I mean that should be the case with whatever we're doing, whether that's going to do red light therapy or sauna or workouts or diet. We've got to have the complete package in order to truly get our health to the level that we need it to be.
Well, hello and welcome back to another episode of the Frontline Health podcast by Centurion Health. My name is Evan. With me, Troy Duell, founder and CEO of Centurion Health. And we are excited to bring you guys another episode talking about the question, how do I know which supplements are right for me? And this is a question, a lot of people are asking these days. The supplement industry is huge. It is a very crowded market. And people, they walk into any supplement store, they scroll online, they're watching TV, and they're hit with thousands of different products to choose from.
Yeah, and I think there are so many messages out there about heal your gut, detox your liver, get better sleep. All those things are out there, and I think all of them can work. But to your point, I think just walking through that is super important for us to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people they're experiencing fatigue from all of this, and a lot of people are just kind of deciding to make a blanket judgment about supplements and decide they don't even want to try to find ones that are good, and they just want to go to, things that we would encourage people to do, like, diet, exercise, that kind of thing. But they really, some people are, I think, kind of punting on supplements because of the noise, and the bad products that are out there. And so I think it's really important for people to have some guidelines for choosing what supplements that they actually need and what benefit them the most. There are too many brands. You hear conflicting advice, right? There's a new expert who's out there with a new podcast, not to step on our toes, but you have people out there saying all kind of things on the internet, social media experts. You have people like, to get specific, Liver King, who has all kind of crazy scandals and things where he was taking steroids. That's what people kind of just tend to associate with the supplement space. And then of course, there's a new trend every day. So when you're thinking of all of that, Troy, and keeping that in mind, as the CEO of a supplement company that wants to bring people really, really high quality products that will make their lives better, how do people tend to respond to all of these inputs?
Yeah, I mean, I think for a lot of people, it's overwhelming. So either they get way overwhelmed and they drop out altogether, or they go out and they buy everything. There's really not much of a happy medium in there. And I think just that understanding of we don't seem to do this with medications. If a medication doesn't work for us after we've been prescribed it, we don't just go, oh, well, I'm never going to do any more medications. We go, okay, well, this one didn't work. Let's try another one. And I think having that mentality when it comes to supplements is a super um, big step in the right direction if we can do something like that.
Yeah, and you bring up a great point. We've been putting some content out there on social media recently around, you know, people getting people's frustrations when they try a supplement and they feel like it doesn't work. Well, you have to ask the question, one, did you give it enough time? Right. And we're going to get into that on a future podcast episode of how you can assess the efficacy. Were you actually consistent with it? And then so did you give it enough time? But then, yeah, were you consistent with it? Did you actually take it every day or in the doses that you were supposed to take it? That it's been clinically shown to have benefit. So
Yeah.
so yeah, so supplements can be a super important part of improving your health. There's no doubt about that. But a few important things to consider that we're going to talk about today. You have to choose wisely. Nobody wants to be taking 100 pills a day, right? That's a something that we hear frequently, even from our pharmacy partners and our healthcare provider partners. You have to take them consistently, as we mentioned just a second ago, and they have to actually match your needs. You can't just, like you said, take everything that comes out. One, you're going to spend a lot of money doing that. In some cases, that might even be dangerous for you, but it also just might not be the best, most efficient supplement regimen for you, and you're not addressing the things that your body actually needs. So today we're hoping for our listeners to help you know how to evaluate whether a supplement brand is trustworthy, decide if a supplement is right for you, and we also want to get into some real world examples of what a simple, intentional supplement routine looks like. So, as always, we want to give a disclaimer, this is not medical advice. Before you start any new supplement, right, you should discuss that with your healthcare provider or at least make them aware of the ones that you're on. So, not medical advice, just here to educate and hopefully give you guys some things to think about as you're thinking about your own supplement routine. So, Troy, getting into this, before you ever ask what to take, you should ask who you're buying it from. How can someone determine whether a supplement brand is trustworthy or not?
Yeah, I think the first thing is make sure that they're at third-party GMP compliant uh, manufacturing. Make sure that they're going in and everything has been tested and regulated. And I think one of the best ways to do that is make sure that all the supplements that you're taking are being made in the United States because the United States has a little bit higher standard than a lot of the other countries that are out there from the standpoint of bringing product in. So that to me is a huge piece and huge component of what you're trying to do. And then make sure that the labels are clear and that the ingredients are clear and that it doesn't have any of those ancillary ingredients that we know are problematic for people, even in the inactives as they're trying to put things together. So you want to be sure that it doesn't have things like I don't know, some seed oils that are sometimes put in products or excipients that we know cause issues long term. So you want to look for something that is healthy across the board from the ingredients to the excipients themselves and make sure that it's made in the United States.
Yeah, I mean, we have heard stories, that have been on the news of supplements that have been tested that were manufactured overseas. Commonly, that happens a lot in China and India. And there has been, like, the label will say that there are all of these ingredients in the supplement, and then it turns out like 80% of it is just rice flour. And
Yes.
so, you know, aside from
Unfortunately, it's not. Yeah, unfortunately, it's not just supplements from China, but that seems to be the biggest issue that's out there. There are even some in the United States that they showed didn't have the amounts that they were hoping to have in there, which I think is the crucial part of the testing to make sure that what's in it is actually in those supplements. So that's a big portion of what we need to do.
Yeah, for sure. And, marketing also goes into this and is a big piece of it. There are people making all kind of claims, talking about how somebody's going to experience instant results with something. And, we know that's not really how supplements work, right? It's more of a long-term sort of thing that requires a lot of consistency. And so people have to watch out for those things. That's one of the reasons why we want to try to bring education and value in that way to our customers, so they kind of understand we're not just trying to make a buck, right? We want to help people take ownership of their health, and supplements kind of tend to be the avenue that we're able to do that through a lot. Um, so if a brand isn't willing to explain what's in their product and why, and they're not able to prove that what they say is in their product is in it, probably not worth your money.
That is true. Very true.
So on an individual basis, if someone is trying to decide if a supplement is right for them, what should they do?
Yeah, I think the first thing is, and we already touched on it a little bit, is understanding that not every supplement is going to be right for you. Everybody's body is different. So just like medications, supplements are the same, that some supplements are going to respond better in me than they will in you, and there'll be some supplements that you respond better to than I do, just like a medication. So it's really no different. Understand what your goal is and then make sure that whatever your goal is, you're actually seeing some improvement in those things. And also with the understanding that just like with medications, it's rare that the very first day that you take it, you see an improvement, but it's usually gradual over time. Now, some blood pressure medications I know can start to work within a couple of days, but outside of that, most medications take a little bit of time. So give it 6 to 8 weeks, and see what kind of results you're getting. And I would truly recommend taking a journal and journal your health on whatever that is that you've got and that you're looking at, and see if you see any changes on a daily basis, because you've got to be fairly intentional with some of the things that we're looking for. Because if you're talking about energy levels, it's really hard to quantify what those energy levels are. And in 6 weeks, you may not see the change that you had from when you started on it. So, taking some notes on how you're doing and what you're walking through, I think, is a big part of taking supplements or really any medication. We should do that with just about everything that we do. And as you're doing it, always remember that diet and exercise, your lifestyle changes, those things are going to be crucial whether you're taking supplements or medications to really help you get past that point in your health and get the greatest benefit and value out of anything we take, but supplements for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And I think a really great illustration of what you just said, how everyone's body is different and is gonna respond differently. Everyone has different needs that a supplement may or may not address and support. They have different lifestyles, different things to consider. If you read the reviews on some of our products, particularly, some of our best sellers, you will have people 5-star rating after 5-star rating of people saying, I feel so much better after taking this. I've been taking it for, 2 months and it's made a huge difference in my life. My energy is up, my gut feels better, whatever that is. And then you see the next person who's like, took it for 2 weeks and it didn't work. 1-star review. It's like,
That's right.
okay, well, maybe you should have given it a little bit longer, or maybe it's just not the best thing to support the specific need that you have. So you can't just write something off. Maybe it's not for you, but you can't write it off across the board for everyone just because it didn't work for you. And you have to look at yourself and understand, were you actually using it properly?
For sure. That's a big piece of it, and not putting a God complex on your supplements. Understanding that one pill is not going to take care of your health ills. You've got to really work at overall health, and I mean that should be the case with whatever we're doing, whether that's going to do red light therapy or sauna or workouts or diet. We've got to have the complete package in order to truly get our health to the level that we need it to be.
Yep. So yeah, so key takeaway that we want to leave people with on this point, more supplements doesn't necessarily mean better health. Better alignment does. And like you said, Troy, keeping a track of those things so that you really understand how something is affecting your body is really going to be key. And then not trying to change everything all at once, right? That makes it kind of hard. Anytime, not to encourage people to experiment on their bodies, but if you were running an experiment, you would need to only change one variable at a time in order to understand, if something is making a difference.
Absolutely.
So, Troy, getting into your own supplement routine, this is something that I'm curious about, and I wonder if others out there are curious about as well. You certainly have access to any variety of health and wellness products and supplements out there. So I'm curious, what does your daily supplement routine kind of look like? And then are there some others that maybe you don't take every day, but you fill in or take at certain times depending on what you're doing?
Yeah, for me, I think the non-negotiables, especially this time of year because we're in the midst of flu season, so always looking for an immunity boost product, trying to keep my body as prepped and primed as possible. So when it comes across bacteria or viral infections, then it'll be ready to take those on. So definitely do an immune product, so Defender Immunity Boost, and then I do Defender PM at night. So I do both of those. I also do a Shilajit product in the morning with that and a detox product. So those are the main things that I do in the morning. And then at night, I'll do a beetroot and a magnesium as well, just to add to it. And part of that is knowing that I've got a history uh, in my family of high blood pressure. So trying to keep that from coming up and looking at it from that standpoint.
Yeah, that's really cool. Thank you for sharing that. So my routine, I we have a little bit in common there. I will take superfood greens every single day because I do not think I am one of the 2 out of 10 Americans that eat the right amount of vegetables on a daily basis. I'm humble enough to admit that. So I take superfood greens every day to make sure I get my fruits and veggies in. And then I'm also a fan of the beetroot, like you. Kind of have a family history of cardiovascular disease and always something I've been conscious of and have tried to manage through lifestyle. You know, I'm a runner. I try to eat the best that I can, but I don't get any beets in my diet. And um,
Me neither, on purpose. I'm not a big beet fan, so I'd rather take my beets in a capsule form than in the whole food form because it tastes like dirt if you ask me.
Well, and I agree. And you know, it's funny. I was doing a TikTok live one night talking about organic beetroot, and somebody commented live. They said, "Eat fresh beets from the ground. They're way better." And I responded and said, "More power to you, my friend. If you can stomach to eat beets,
That's
that
right.
is whole foods are going to be better for you." Me personally, I can't do the beets. So,
And you kind of feel sorry for them because clearly their taste buds are messed up if they're eating. I don't get it. I don't get it.
yeah. But no, we know there's so many benefits for beetroots when it comes to your cardiovascular health, and so I do take it every day. I also take our Pure Lore CI for cognitive help. You know, people who have known me for a long time and knew me before could probably attest to why that's a good idea for me to
That's
be
good.
taking Pure Lore for my cognitive health. And then, so that's it on a daily basis. But like you, I will take the Defender if we have like we keep like a bottle on hand, and we'll take it if I start to feel sick, or if we've been exposed and know that, so that we can get our vitamin C and D and quercetin and all that stuff up. And then from time to time, I will take the Just Energy. I like to take it as a pre-workout sometimes. Not every time before I go to the gym, but periodically, yeah, I will. So. It's
I
interesting
definitely,
how,
yeah, I was going to say I definitely jump on some Just Energy on some long afternoons if I know I've got things that I need to be mentally aware and get a little bit more energy. I will jump on some of that. As a matter of fact, I'm doing a little bit now.
yeah, well, good deal. And you've been traveling, so
Yes. Yes.
and it's a Friday afternoon at the time that we're recording this, so definitely a time where you need maybe a little bit of extra push.
That's right.
But I think it's so cool, as we're just kind of going through that, Troy, like we're two different people and we have some overlap with what we take, but then we also have kind of catered our routines to what we on an individual basis need. And that's kind of what we're trying to explain to people is you have to know what your body needs, and give it that kind of support.
Absolutely. And I think that's why we have a variety of supplements and other products on our website because we know not everybody is the same. And what one product may bring energy to somebody or help with their cognitive health, it may not work for somebody else. So having those options and alternatives, I think, is always a big thing. And just trying them and see which one works best for you.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. And we do want to have a deliverable that we can give to people who are kind of overwhelmed by choosing their supplements. So we've got something for you. If this is overwhelming and you're maybe wondering how you can kind of answer questions for yourself and build your own supplement routine, we're going to be sharing in the show notes a how to choose the right supplements for you guide. This is basically just going to be a simple framework that can help you have some more things to consider when you are trying to build your supplement routine and what red flags to avoid. Tap the link in the show notes to get that guide and hopefully have a little bit more support.
Awesome.
So, just to kind of recap, Troy, supplements are tools, no magic pills. We say that all the time. You don't need to take everything. You need to figure out what fits you and to do so under the guidance of a healthcare provider. So thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Frontline Health Podcast. We hope that it has been helpful to you. And if you know someone who could benefit from hearing this and, giving a little bit more thought to their own supplement routine, share it with them. Subscribe to the podcast and follow us on social media. Let us know what you think about this topic and what other topics you'd like for us to address in the future. As always, go out and take ownership of your health because you are your best health advocate. We'll see you next time.
If you enjoyed what you heard today on the podcast, please consider subscribing and leaving us a review. We would love to hear your comments or questions about anything we've talked about on the show. For more health news, tips, and insights, follow us at Centurion Health on Instagram, Facebook, X, and YouTube. And for safe, effective, and affordable healthcare products made in the USA to help you elevate your health and life, visit centurion.health. We look forward to you joining us next time on the Frontline Health Podcast by Centurion.